Good morning. We're going to get started here in about 2 minutes, but first a very special request. If you could take your phone out and please turn it to vibrate or turn it off completely. There's a previously scheduled campus-wide tornado drill at 10:30 and the Creighton alert system for those that get those. We don't need all the phones going off at once right at 10:30, so we would ask that you shut those off. Just to give you a rundown, once we get going, we'll hear from Father Hendrickson to start, then Marcus Blossom, followed by Alan Huss. We'll do about 10 minutes of questions with the media, and then we'll do any additional interviews after that with Coach McDermott and Coach Huss towards the back by that backdrop, like we normally do before practice. So we'll get started here in 2 minutes, but thank you much. It's my pleasure to introduce the 25th president of Creighton University, Reverend Daniel S. Hendrickson of the Society of Jesus.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rob, and welcome to everyone. We're all special guests, but I do want to recognize a few people that are joining us today. We have a number of people from the Creighton Board of Trustees, including the chair of the board, Diane Duran. Scott Hyder is here, and Cindy. Rob Reed is here, and Bob Greenwood and Sherry. So thank you for our governance joining us, and university leadership, Jan Madsen, and others from around the university, and including Marcus Blossom, obviously, and you'll hear from him in just a minute. Today marks an important moment for Creighton University men's basketball as we recognize the remarkable legacy of Greg McDermott, and we look ahead to the next era of our program with Alan Huss. Across 16 seasons, Greg built one of the strongest and most steady cultures in college basketball. He's the winningest coach in the history of Creighton's men's basketball, and he led our program to multiple Sweet 16 competitions and our first Elite Eight in the modern era of the NCAA tournament. His teams competed at the highest level nationally while representing this university with great integrity and clear determination. Just as important, Greg set a tone that extended far beyond the court. He emphasized academics and character and leadership in the lives of our student athletes. He helped guide the successful transition into the Big East Conference. And through the Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out, he inspired a tradition that has raised more than $1 million to support cancer patients and cancer families. Creighton men's basketball stands where it does today because of Greg McDermott. His tenure has elevated our program, and he has increased the visibility and the awareness of our Jesuit Catholic mission here at Creighton University. We're grateful, too, that Greg's family has been part of the journey. We welcome Teresa with us today. Greg is here, obviously, as well as walking with their children these past years, Nick and Doug and Sydney. We move forward from a position of clear strength, real strength. Last spring, with Greg's partnership, we named Alan Huss as head coach in waiting to ensure a purposeful and a seamless transition for our student athletes, our recruits, and our fans when this moment arrived. Alan is a Creighton Blue Jay in every sense of the word. He's an alumnus, he's a former player, he married a Blue Jay, and in recent years he helped build the culture that defines the program today. He's ready to lead, and I'm confident that he will guide Creighton basketball into the next era with energy, with great expertise, and with a clear commitment for success. To be sure, the future of Creighton's men's basketball is bright here on campus, in this great city around us, and across our expansive national network of fans and supporters. We are ready to rally behind our Blue Jays in this next exciting chapter. I would be remiss not to recognize the generosity of so many of you who are here today. Your friendship means the world to us. It can't be said enough. Your relationship with Creighton, with the athletic program, with men's basketball, your resources, you keep us competitive and you keep us current. As members of Champions Circle, as contributors of time and talent, as supporters of scholarship dollars, as part of our awesome Fly Together project, and so much more. You've got my thanks, my tremendous gratitude. Our men's basketball program is in very good hands, both on the court and off. McCormick Endowed Athletic Director Marcus Blossom has been instrumental throughout this process, and I'm especially grateful for his partnership and for his vision. And at this point, I turn the program over to Marcus, and thank you all for being here. Let's welcome Marcus.
I'm a little taller than Father, so I'm going to adjust the mic a little bit. Good morning, and welcome to the McDermott Center. As Father mentioned, today is a special day for Creighton men's basketball as we proudly introduce the 17th head coach in our program's history, Alan Huss. I'd like to begin by thanking Father Hendrickson and our Board of Trustees for their continued support of our men's basketball program. I also want to thank our athletic department staff, many are in the room, for their tireless efforts throughout both the men's and women's basketball seasons. To our fans and donors, thank you. Your passion and commitment are vital to our success, and we are deeply grateful for your unwavering support. And to our men's basketball student athletes sitting right up front here, thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and for representing Creighton with both integrity on and off the court. You truly embody what this program stands for. Let's give our men's basketball team a round of applause. Before we hear from Coach Huss, I'd like to recognize his family, his wife Katie, their daughters Mary and Nikki, and Alan's mom and dad, Melinda and Craig. Please welcome, once again, I know he's been here for a year, but welcome the entire Huss family back to Creighton. As Father mentioned, Alan Huss returns to Creighton for many meaningful reasons. He and his wife are proud alumni, and Alan is a former Blue Jay student athlete. He actually carried Kyle Korver, Ryan Sears, and the rest of his teammates to multiple NCAA tournaments, multiple. Omaha is not just a place where he worked, it's a place he calls home. While those connections matter, what makes this opportunity truly special is the foundation that has been built here. Coach Greg McDermott made it clear that he wanted today to be all about Alan, but it's important to acknowledge and thank Greg for the incredible job he has done. He leaves the program in a position of national prominence and sustained success, and we are deeply appreciative of his leadership. Coach Huss brings with him a remarkable combination of experience, energy, and vision. He is a tireless worker, a relentless recruiter, and a passionate leader who is deeply committed to developing young men, both as basketball players and as people. His coaching journey includes a decade of success at the high school level, where he built winning programs and shaped the lives of countless student athletes. He then spent 10 years coaching at the Division I level as an assistant coach, including 7 impactful seasons at Creighton. During that time, he played a pivotal role in 149 victories, multiple NCAA tournament appearances, and a Big East championship. Alan, as you know, also has head coaching experience. As a head coach at High Point, Alan demonstrated exceptional leadership, guiding the program there to new heights. He earned back-to-back Big South Coach of the Year honors and led the team to its first Division I NCAA tournament appearance, along with a record-setting 29 victories. But what stands out most about Alan is his commitment to the process of winning. He will invest everything he has into this program, into competing at the highest level in the Big East, into developing our student athletes, and into representing Creighton University and the Omaha community with pride and integrity. The future of Creighton men's basketball is incredibly bright under his leadership, and I'm excited for what lies ahead. Please join me in welcoming our new coach, Alan Huss.
I heard one of the players say that the jersey looked a little small. It's probably accurate. When you move into one of these situations, before you get started with a thank yous and all the other things that come along with new opportunities, it's impossible not to sit and reflect just a little bit on how fortunate I am to be where I am right now, and how fortunate we are as a family to be where we are right now. I promise you that this is not going to be taken lightly by me. I promise you that this means a lot to me. Before I get overly sentimental, get into my thank yous, I want to start with something I thought was a little funny. I don't know if Bruce Rasmussen's here, but he told a story. I was thinking a little bit about what to say today, thinking even more about how athletics in today's day and age fits into universities and just general picture things that as a college basketball coach you don't get to think about a lot. It led me back to someone that a lot of people in this room knew, or maybe the numbers are dwindling these days, but several of you knew, Doc Bevilacqua. My journey at Creighton started in fall of '97. I came up here, my parents, this is hard for you guys to believe, my parents had never seen the place, didn't come on an official visit with me. I drove up here on my own, moved myself in. They hadn't been to the place yet, and I got incredibly sick with pneumonia my freshman year, right before basketball practice started, literally the week before, and was in the hospital, got out of the hospital, knew Doc a little bit from my recruiting visit, met him, when we were doing opening physicals, I think at the beginning of the year. Didn't know him all that well, but I think back to him taking me into his home and caring for me like his own son. And I think back to what this place is about, what it means to me, what it means to so many people in this room, and I think back to Doc. I think about his selfless attitude towards not only the people here at Creighton, but also his clinic in South Omaha. And I think what's a better example, or who's a better example of how someone at Creighton should behave, how someone at Creighton should act, how somebody that really lives their Ignatian values, how they live daily. I think back to Doc. That led me to the funny part of this. I started thinking about Rass's story. Doc used to sit on the end of the bench with Red McManus, longtime coach here. Red was somewhat vocal. He'd sit on the end of the bench with Father Hart, Red, and Doc. And it doesn't sound like that'd be a group that would get into officials. They would. They would sometimes get into the players on the floor, one of which was me when I didn't live up to standards. Rass tells this story better than I do, but it was going into my senior year. Red McManus came up to Rass and said, hey, Huss is a senior, right? And Rass is like, yeah, he's a senior. He's like, why do you ask? And without hesitation, Red looked right at him and said, I just wanted to make sure I never have to watch him play again after this year. That group, though, showed us so much love. That trio of human beings. And it was really the first time in my life around the game of basketball that I met people outside of just immediate coaching staff through the game of basketball that impacted my life. Those three guys. I think about them. I think about what they meant to this university. And I hope that as we move forward in this process, you'll get a little bit of that. All the student athletes here will get a little bit of that from other people on this campus. I aim to be one of those people. To start with, I'd like to do a few thank yous here. My parents, obviously, Marcus and Father have already beat me to the punch on some of these thank yous, but I'm going to reiterate them. The thank yous are so important to me. Mom, Dad, thanks for being here. I know it wasn't easy for you to deal with me for a lot of years. Probably not all that easy to be here, but it means a lot. I appreciate it every step of the way. I took a very odd course into coaching college basketball when I was a high school basketball coach, when this was a hobby that was costing me money. My parents were there every step of the way. I've enjoyed it with you. Thank you for that so much. Katie, obviously I met you here at the library studying, fellas, at the library studying we met. I see Steve X sitting right directly in front of me. He knows it wasn't at the library for sure. I can tell you, I can't think of a better partner. You've moved across the country, followed me around the country, the world, everything to do this crazy business. Thank you so much. I can't imagine doing it with somebody else. And as Father and Marcus already said, she is a Blue Jay. Sometimes when you've got the new coach in town, people go out of their way to explain things about the tradition and what goes on at the university. She's a third generation Creighton Blue Jay that knows more about it than I do. So thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your love. Greatly appreciated. Nikki and Mary, for moving multiple times, for dealing with my moodiness. I can't say thank you enough. It means the world to me. And Nikki, thank you for coming back to college and surprising me today. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Father Hendrickson and Marcus, thank you for partnering with Coach Mack and putting this deal together. I think that none of us knew exactly how this is going to look, but to have the capacity to even think outside the box and jump into a space where people don't think it's not the typical way people do things. It's greatly appreciated. Again, I promise you, I'll make you look smart. Mac and Tree, I know you're here too. Thanks so much for this year. Thanks for even before this year, Mac. Thanks for taking a chance. I was an unproven assistant at New Mexico that came in here, maybe played on the scout team a little bit, held a pad, and started there and went from that to just gaining more and more of your trust, your belief. Thank you for letting me mess things up, and even when you knew the answers, letting me mess them up so I'd learn a lesson. I just wouldn't be the coach I am. I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be anywhere. I'd probably be back coaching high school basketball if you didn't take a chance on me. So, Mac, I'm forever grateful for this year. Thank you for figuring this out. This isn't the way we wanted to do it for you. It's not the way I wanted it, not the way you did it, but to handle it with grace and try to let me back in and try to help this program moving forward, to set yourself aside the way you always do. And I mean, I think this press conference is a perfect example of what makes Mac Mac. He wants it to be about everyone but Mac. And all the victories, all the things that happened, it's awesome. But that's what it's about. It's the fact that Mac doesn't make it about Mac. He makes it about Creighton. He makes it about the name on the front. In this era of transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, revenue share, when the guy that's leading the group makes it about the name on the front, it's much easier for all the rest of us. So, Mac, thank you. I sincerely mean it. A year ago, when Mac first brought this up, I took a step back to think about what this could potentially mean if it came to fruition. At that point, I wasn't entirely sure it would. I can tell you my mind immediately went to how long and how much sustained success had been had at Creighton. And it made me think back to exactly what happened and made me take a step back. And I've said this many a times in many interviews in the past. When you're coaching college basketball, it's challenging to get outside of your little bubble. Each one of us, it's an all-encompassing job. It takes every ounce of what you have to give. And it's hard to sit back and look and see what's going around, what's going on, think about long-term things, think about what's happened in the past. Sometimes it's hard to be thankful for it because you don't have a chance to really think about it. But when he called me after that first conversation, I started thinking about, I wasn't exactly sure what it was going to be, 32, 33 years of sustained excellence. And it made me think of just how much went into this operation and how it got to where it was. I talked about the people outside the program that affected this place, but you start thinking about the sustained excellence of this place, and you think about Ras making the hire with Coach Altman, who thankfully taught me early on that I was no good at basketball and that I needed to figure something else out. I think about the work that went in from those guys when they were just trying to figure out a way to put this thing together. Then I think about Coach Mack coming in and a lot of people in the basketball world, when he took this job, goes, man, you're buying that stock sky high. Creighton can't go any higher than what it's been. 7 NCAA tournaments, I think 327 wins. Those are hard shoes to fill. And all Mac did is come in and elevate it the same, from that standard to places that none of us in this room, me included, could think about. Deep NCAA tournament runs, Big East championships, Big East tournament title games, multiple deep runs, all things thought to be really, we couldn't imagine them when Mac took this job. Then you start thinking about the consistency within the program. Guys like Coach Gordy, Lynn Gordy, that's been here since before me, and Patty Gallitz, that's been here before me. And it got me thinking about, all right, how does this all tie together? And it's pretty simple. Like in a world where X's and O's have changed, not only for all coaches, but I think Mac's reinvented himself 3 times in his 16 years here. Coach Altman before that reinvented himself a couple of different times. X's and O's changed, personnel changed. We went from tiny little shorts to long shorts below the knees, back to tiny little shorts. Like the style has changed. Now everything in college athletics has changed so much. So why has this place been so unbelievably consistent, right? And I just go back to the word culture, right? And it's the most overused word, and I'll probably make the little edits they do with these mashups, but culture to me is the human beings that we have inside this program and out. And What's made me most proud as I've been in different parts of this, as a player, as an assistant coach, and now taking over as the head coach here at Creighton, is despite all the other changes in collegiate athletics, everything that's happened in the world, the quality of human beings sitting right here reminds me perfectly of the guys I played with. And I mean that as a compliment. Played with great guys. They went on to do great things. They went on to have great families. And the quality of the human beings sitting in these first couple rows right here is exactly the same. So I think that's a perfect segue into where it goes from here, right? And I think it's quite simple. Culture is what's won. Culture is going to continue to be what wins for us at Creighton. We're going to get the right human beings here. We're going to keep the right human beings here. We're going to work our tails off, but we're not going to reinvent the wheel there. We know that elite human beings win here at Creighton, right? That's not going to change. The second piece of it that'll remain constant, commitment to process. I don't know that I fully appreciated it until I had a chance to work first with Mac, and then when I stepped away, his ability to stay process-driven is absolutely elite. Second, probably only to his ability to be completely selfless. But his ability to stay process-driven, stay on target, and not deviate from methods when things don't go perfectly. His ability to inspire confidence in student athletes that play for him, to be able to make shots and perform at a high level is all part of our processes. We'll continue that. It'll be a hyper focus of our program. We'll continue to challenge our players to stay on those processes, but we will stay on that target. Let it fly. I think it's on the court anywhere. You can see it over there. It's behind Doug on the window shade over there. But Let It Fly has been a huge part of why we've been able to develop our brand as one of the premier offenses in college basketball. Again, there's no reason to to fix what's not broken. We will continue to let it fly. We'll continue to recruit talented student athletes that share the ball, that are unselfish, and that want to play at that tempo. That's not going to change. Probably the thing that we have to get back right now, and this has been something that's been also it's been there through Mac's entire run, and I can tell you it was there when Coach Altman was in charge. You know, this group this year went through so many things as a group, so many ups, so many downs, that we lost our joy a little bit, this group at times. We'll get back to that. You know, that's a huge part of what's made Mac successful. When I got my job at my first opportunity at High Point, I made a note on day one to make sure that there was joy involved in the program every day. Mac would remind me of it. Usually he'd take a kind of a backhand shot at me when he didn't think I had enough joy in my life and I was a little hyper obsessed with some of the details. But he would remind me of that joy. I took that with me. I'm fully committed to bringing that back. So I'm super excited about that. Defensively, we'll stay with what we do. We're going to play man-to-man defense, maybe get a little bit more disruptive. I'd like to take full credit for that, but that's something that Coach Mack and I have been talking about here for weeks. I think we're going to move that direction, but I think you're going to see things that are, you're going to see a defense that gets maybe slightly more disruptive. More importantly than all these X and O's, though, is back to that character piece. We're going to have the right people here. We're going to have people in these first two rows that take the floor for us that everyone can be excited about. That goes to former players. We want this to be your program. We've got several alums on our staff right now. It means a lot to us. To our alumni, to our supporters, we need you. Our advantage is the 17,000 people that show up to our games. That's why these guys are sitting here. They want to play in front of that crowd at CHI. And again, we weren't great last year. We didn't play with a ton of joy, but we're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to what's made us so good here over the last couple of decades. To the city of Omaha, especially a few of you that have put your blue shirts down and maybe put a red one on for what's going on, we're going to win you back. We're going to get you back. Don't let me get a snapshot of you in a red shirt, though. I'm keeping receipts, anybody I see. But we want you back. We want the city of Omaha. We want the city of Omaha for Creighton to be the city of Omaha's team. We anticipate to earn everyone's trust and continue to fill the arena and make it a very disruptive and difficult place to play. To everyone here, I just want you to know, as I speak to the players here in closing, really simply, fellas, we're going to work. We're going to do it together. We're going to have fun doing it. We're going to continue so much of what's made this program great. But I'm going to tell you, like, we are going to live up to the standard. And I make that promise to everyone here, staff, players, everyone that came out today. I appreciate you being here. We will live up to the standard. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll do about 10 minutes of questions with the media. If you have a question, just raise your hand, and Glenn, Sisk, or I will bring a microphone to you. But we'll get started with John Walker from the Omaha World Herald.
Al, congrats. You knew that this day was coming since you returned last summer, but what does it feel like to finally, officially be the head coach at Creighton University?
It's a dream come true for me. When I was a snot-nosed freshman. I feared in my life more than anyone, Coach Altman, that I'd be tasked with trying to carry that tradition on. I would have laughed. I would have said, "There's no way." Probably ignored you and gone on my business. So I don't know that I've necessarily wrapped my mind completely around just how fortunate I am to be back here, to be back at home. It's just it truly hasn't set in just yet.
Again, raise your hand if you got a question. Glenn, right in front of you.
Coach, congrats. You're obviously carrying a pretty heavy legacy, but how do you continue the success here at Creighton while making the program your own?
Yeah, I think the simple answer to that is to when I took the job at High Point and got my opportunity, to the best of my ability, I went down to High Point, North Carolina, and tried to replicate every facet of this program that we could possibly copy. We did that because it's been successful. We did that because we feel like this is a winning formula, and we're going to stay committed to those same processes. Like I said, maybe tweak the defense just a little bit, but again, as much as I'd like to take credit for that, that's something that Coach Mack and I have been talking about. So if it works, 100% my idea, and if it doesn't, it's Mack's.
All right, who else has a question? Go back to John.
Marcus, why was it important for you to let Mack pick his successor, and why was Huss the right guy for you to ultimately sign off on?
First off, Mack's a fantastic coach. So for me and for Father to not take his insight would just not be smart. So we just had conversations about where we wanted the program to go, who we thought would take the program to the heights we wanted it to take, and Al's name kept rising to the top. I was fortunate for 2 years, actually, to have an office right across the hallway from Al. So I saw him work, and he was one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. Any business, any profession. So I knew from that standpoint that this guy is going to work his tail off to make sure this program is at the level that it needs to be. So I saw with my own eyes. Father and I, we talked to Mack and consulted who we think is a brilliant basketball mind, and that's how the decision came to fruition.
Coach, congratulations. Obviously, you've talked about the unique situation that you're in. There's obviously more basketball to be played this season. What does your role look like in Vegas, and does it change at all?
I think I have the same answer. If the stuff works, it's my idea, and if it doesn't, it's Max. We'll continue the same way. I'll call a few plays. Mitch and I work on the offensive side of the basketball. We'll work together, same way we always have.
Coach, you talked about the team playing with joy moving forward. How can you make sure that the players are going to be able to follow through on that?
I think like anything, it's habits. I think I mentioned, this group went through a lot this season. Ups and downs mentally. I've heard Max say this, but I'm gonna borrow it. I don't know that I've ever been associated with a team that's stayed together off the floor through so many ups and downs quite like this team has. From injuries on the floor and all the things that happened off the floor. This group's been up, it's been down, it's been around, and they've stayed together. They've been really good friends for each other. I have no doubts that they'll take away lasting friendships. As far as carrying that onto the court, I think it's something we've got to practice. For whatever reason this season, we fell out of a little bit of practice, probably mostly due to some injuries. But we'll get back to the same processes that have allowed us to do it for the last couple decades.
Coach, obviously the landscape has changed dramatically over the last few years. What have you learned from your 2 years as a head coach and now your 1 year back here as an assistant for things that you're going to have to take forward to make Creighton successful into the future?
Evan, I think the first time you get a head coaching job, the first thing you do is appreciate the guy that was sitting to your right or your left, depending on where your seat on the bench is, at a much greater level. You understand the difficult decisions that have to be made. I don't know that that's necessarily new in college basketball. I think that's always been the case. But especially with all the new external factors that are affecting our sport and NCAA athletics as a whole, there's a lot of moving parts, and being able to manage all that as an assistant coach, it's easy to sit there and say, let's go get them, rock them, sock them, tough guy. But when you have to actually manage the relationships and deal with all these moving parts and really think 2 moves ahead to what's going to happen if we don't manage or massage this relationship or whatever's going on here, there's just a lot of nuance involved. And I think as an assistant, you sit there and you try to figure out, what you would do in the situation if given the opportunity. You try to support your boss when they ask for it. You try to give your opinion when they ask for it. But then, when you're the head coach, you just fully appreciate all the things that go through or go into those decisions that have to be made. And there's a handful every day that are impactful to the direction of the program.
We got time for about 2 more. We'll go back to John.
Coach Huss, congratulations. Obviously, you credit Coach Mack, probably Coach Altman. I'm curious who some of the other influences in your basketball life have brought you to this moment.
I mean, first and foremost, my dad. He was started off before he got out of the game. He was a college basketball coach and a college basketball player, and from time to time was a little bit hard on me. He looks soft right now. He didn't look like that way when he was out in the driveway with me for a lot of years. So I start with that. I mean, it was for the first 18 years of my life. Every day we worked at this game together. After that, I had a really interesting journey. Since I was a high school coach for so long, I was only an assistant coach for a couple of years at the high school level, but Jeremy Moore, who gave me my first opportunity to be an assistant coach in high school, I'm still in touch with him to this day. He was a huge part of just helping to empower me and encourage me to be a basketball coach. And I think probably the first guy that told me I could do it a little bit, that I was okay at it. Then I had just a whole series of different assistant coaches over the years, many of which were more experienced than I was. And so I had this odd situation where I was learning from my assistants a lot more than I was probably teaching them for most of my career. So many assistants that I probably couldn't name them all. And, I mean, I think back just to, like, we talked about Coach Altman, but Greg Grinsing, I mean, I get a text after almost every game I play. I was a bad player for him 25 years ago, but the guy still watches every game, and gosh, he's got to be near top of the list for certain as well.
All right, we'll do one final question.
Hey, Al, what do you think 1997 Alan Huss would tell the person sitting where you are today?
Ooh. I know what this Alan Huss would tell the 1997 version. Does that work? I think the 97 version would probably say, we got lucky. I think that's probably the only thing that guy could say. Holy cow, like how fortunate, how blessed. I can't even come up with words. Like I would have never imagined this. I didn't set out for this. It's truly amazing.
All right, thank you. That'll conclude today's press conference. We'll do a couple minutes of photos up front with Al and his family and others, and thank you again for attending.